Hi, my name is Jo Hadley, and this is my podcast, Being a Human Lighthouse. Those of you who've listened to me before know that I am a somatic counsellor. That has changed in the last year or so. I used to be a somatic or holistic physiotherapist. I used to work a lot with a holistic technique called fascia manipulation, which I found was an amazing tool to link different injuries in the body. It also was a great tool for linking people's whole health, the visceral organs connecting to musculoskeletal system. I also found it a great tool for releasing stuck energy or emotions, traumas or patterns. Often people would just feel lighter, or they'd feel straighter and taller, or they would have an insight about some issue in their life. And some people who are already having trauma therapy or psychology sessions elsewhere would find that these hands-on sessions were a great supplement to the treatment they're already having and really helpful in helping them release these energies that get stuck in the body. This hands-on technique, the fascia manipulation, I loved. I didn't think I would ever stop wanting to use it. I was already training in Gabor Mate's inspired compassion inquiry. And I knew that I had to do some extra counseling work to continue on with that. But I didn't think I would be stopping this hands-on component, because even though the technique is not marketed or taught as an energy technique, having also become a unity field healing practitioner, an energy medicine practitioner, and having read extensively and being interested in the area, I'm interested in how whole health, what true health is, and that incorporates our usual modalities, the Western medicine, physical modalities, all the Eastern techniques, energy medicine techniques. Everything has a place. It's just knowing when and where to use different techniques. I don't think one thing works all the time. I think we just need to be open and in communication as clearly as possible with their own inner wisdom. And as we tune in more to ourselves, we will be guided by this inner wisdom to whichever technique or practitioner is best for us at that particular time. So anyway, a year ago, I knew I wasn't happy where I was working, and I went overseas to the United States to a 4-day event where like-minded people interested in the energy, vibration, trauma healing patterns, energy medicine, spirituality gathered together. And I was in my element. I was surrounded by people and listening to speakers, some of whom were doctors, some of whom had just taught themselves energy medicine techniques and the trauma therapy approaches, and they were very similar to what I was already learning. I met some awesome people. We're still friends today and support each other. And I knew then that this is the type of work that I wanted to do. And I made a statement this time last year that I wanted my life to change so I could work using the best skills I have in connection with my heart and soul, truly connected to source, because our ultimate joy is we are connected not only to ourselves through our soul, but also to all that is spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. In quantum science, we have fields all around us, one called the unified field. So I made that intention in one of the exercises we did during this 4-day event, But I also knew that step one was I had to go home and quit my job, which I think I've said before, I was too scared to do because all I could see was this darkness of the unknown, and that was too scary for me. Anyway, when I went home, after basically feeling that I knew what I wanted to do with my life, the greatest joy would come from doing this body release work, somatic energy work, knowing that there was an energy component to it as well as emotional, physical, mental. It incorporated the whole person. It allowed me to assist others to hear their own inner wisdom more, so they can be more in tune with themselves, because every technique I was learning was basically saying the same thing. The practitioners were nothing more than assisting the client to access their own inner wisdom. Whether this was the fascia manipulation, physical technique, whether it was counseling, whether it was compassion inquiry, everything wasn't about fixing other people. It was about assisting and being a catalyst for other people to listen to their own inner wisdom, so they knew which practitioners to use, what sounded right to them, which direction they wanted to go in, what choices they wanted to make. And ultimately to have insights into why different situations and scenarios might be occurring in their life at that particular time. Anyway, the universe gave me a week. And then I did have trouble with my hands leading up to this, but I was kind of working with one hand. Then I ended up with the same condition on the other hand. So after leaving this job, I realized I couldn't do the hands-on work anymore. So I had to fast forward my studies into counseling and the trauma therapies. I had a plan, but suddenly my time frame had been speeded up exponentially, and I suddenly found that I couldn't use the skills that I'd been using and developed over, especially the previous decade, where I've been using the fascia manipulation. Knowing that I couldn't do the job that I was used to doing, and knowing that it didn't fit in the traditional Western model, I took time to just study. And so I then didn't have an income coming in, so I stayed with friends. I moved cities, I put my stuff in storage, and did my best to embrace the unknown. It's tricky because when I asked my soul to allow me to live from my heart completely and let go of all these particular patterns and energies that were blocking access to my own inner wisdom, I didn't realize how seriously it was going to take me and how it was actually going to just drop me down the big chute into the unknown and the change. So I've had huge changes happen all at once over this past 12 months. I've embraced it the best I could. And I'm actually very proud of myself with my resilience and using all the self-care tools that I teach others and talk about. I've had to put into practice everything I preach, and I had to trust the process, and I had to trust that the universe or spirit or God was going to look after me. And at times I had my doubts. At times the patterns within me that didn't believe really got stronger. And there were some really dark moments. I actually had to rely on other people when I was so used to doing everything myself and being completely independent. I found myself staying with friends and fitting into their households and trying to be the best house guest I could be. It's interesting because I was being given a gift of friends assisting me But also it was tricky because my pattern is I do everything myself. I'm independent. I prefer to be alone. In hindsight, having my friends to stay with, especially during this dark period where everything in my life was changing, was ultimately a very good thing. Sometimes when we get into dark places, it's really important to have other people around to talk to and just sit with and just have them in the house with you when you're feeling really low. Sometimes it's those times being alone can be not always the best choice. So for me, in hindsight, very grateful and thankful to the two groups of friends who looked after me this year. I've had to accept help from others when I'm used to doing everything myself. And that was tough, but I've allowed myself to do that. I also hope that I've given back as much as I've taken. I hope that I've contributed to my friends as much as they contributed to me. And I got to practice gratitude. There were times when I just craved my own place and my own solitude and my own isolation because I like spending a lot of time alone. But ultimately, they were just patterns within me that were just trying to resist the process. And in hindsight, the greatest thing I had in this past 12 months were people around me and near me that I could talk to and be with and chat to, especially when things got tough. Because I couldn't go back to the hands-on work, and I'd already started creating an online somatic business, I just had to get a couple of formal qualifications to make sure everything was okay once I left the physiotherapy hands-on world. And I've done that. I've created an online business for somatic counseling, and that is my true passion. Sometimes conveying how I see that when we have these patterns and issues in our life, I see everything that's held on to in our body as energy, stuck energy. Other people would describe it differently, but that's just the way I see it and I feel it and how the words I choose. A lot of people will get threatened by the words energy. They will just talk about their patterns or issues or phobias. But I also know there's many ways to say the same thing. I just happen to look at everything as energy. Whether it's someone who's got dark energy because they're depressed and got a lot of issues on their mind, to someone who's happy and joyful with light energy. It's just the way my mind works and the way I describe things. I've always been able to see and sense people's pain and trauma. I always knew when people came in to the physio room, I didn't have to know exactly what was going on in their life because we don't have to know the exact situation because it just creates biochemical and bioelectrical changes. And if we don't deal with it adequately or we haven't got the skills or tools to deal with this adequately, it gets stuck in our system. I can read it. We all can read these things. We often do these things subconsciously. Each of us has the ability to do it. Some of us just naturally are good at it already. My particular gift was I can always just see and sense people's traumas and patterns and issues. And I always can tell if they're ready to release them or not. People who aren't ready, well, that's okay. They probably don't need to see me, and they often don't like seeing me as a therapist because my way of being is about confronting, looking at, wanting to integrate and wanting to see and deal with the problem at hand. And some people aren't ready yet, and that's quite okay. So if you try to do something when it's not time, it's going to cause disruption and irritation either within yourself, or you're going to feel it towards the practitioner trying to push the change. And I can tell. And anytime I know someone is not ready to shift, it's not their time, I move them on to someone else. I often did that as a physio as well, when I could, because I also learned the more I was doing the fascia work, the trauma therapies, the more the almost consciousness level. I know it's everything is energy, everything is a consciousness level, because I knew that my awareness got higher and I could see higher. So I noticed when people weren't ready, they would get quite irritated, even if they just came into me for a treatment. So I learned, no, even just being in my presence when you're not ready to shift can be unsettling. So I just learned to just move them on to someone else. People who were ready to shift, people who were open to a higher level of consciousness, would often open up. And they were the ones who would tell me that miracles happened. They felt lighter, things released. They just felt better. They were responding better in their life. So when people are ready, I've got a great skill. That isn't everything. It's not for everyone. And if you're not ready for the tools I have today, you may be tomorrow or in 5 years' time. It's okay. Because sometimes when I go to practitioners, I may not be ready for them. And so I have to find people who are the right person for me at the right time. So this year, I've had to change my whole way of thinking about myself, from being able to use my hands to assist people to remove physical blocks. I'm now purely focusing on the emotional, mental, spiritual energy blocks. The irony is that a lot of physical issues can change by addressing these. And that's what I love. I love assisting and being a catalyst to watching others change and shift. And when I do my work, I see people, what they're describing, they're feeling sensations. I can often, if anyone gets surprised by what's happening, I can usually explain scientifically, or even just give them reassurance that this is just energy moving. Because when people shift energy, something releases. People can cry, that's the really obvious one. People can yawn, they can sigh, they can shake, they can get hot or cold. I personally, when releasing things, tend to get heat sensation. And in Michael Brown's book, The Presence Process, he describes that when you get triggered and sit with one of these triggering messengers, that as you're going back and going into your body, into a past memory, it releases this heat. That tends to happen for me. But for other people, it can be cold, it can be shivering, yawning, crying. You can run to the bathroom, sudden bursts of coughing, anything that's getting rid of, expelling something from the body is often a release. So I watch people now, and as I watch them moving, shaking, reporting the different sensations in their body, as they do that and they're feeling safe, they often then pass through to a next phase where they feel light, and they often get clarity and insights. So I love it when I see people go through these intense sensations, then as they safely get to the other side in my presence, they start to report feeling calmer, lighter, more pleasant sensations in the body. And they also can sometimes just tell you the most amazing insights. And when I mirror it back to them and repeat them back to them, they can hear and understand that they've just said something very wise for themselves. And I love supporting people as they access their own inner wisdom after letting go or integrating a pattern from their past that had been holding them back. I always say that I'm doing this work, we all do this work, and I do this work as well. So I've been doing this the past year intensely, and in the past week, I've been noticing, or even today, I can say I've noticed that there was a particular pattern come up and I was aware of it. And I know in the past I've given into it, but this time I just went, no, our heart doesn't speak in fear. If it's the thoughts are about doing things immediately and trying to fix something, then that's a pattern. So I just tried to avoid not giving in to these urgent sensations. I had to fix the issue that was coming up. And I'm proud to say that it's interesting just by letting it be there and just saying, well, I deal with you later and we can always solve it if we need to later. We can look into something later. A couple of parts I actually did fix because there was just a couple of steps you could easily do. So I did those, but not just to fix the pattern. And I noticed that that urgency disappeared. The voice in my head of the pattern had disappeared. And I felt calmer. And it's amazing because for many times, just like I'm sure many of you, when we've got this urgent pattern that we have to fix it, we have to change it, we often give into it. I have done so many times myself. But it's really interesting that when I allow myself the space to sit back and go, no, I can tell you're just being an urgent pattern. I don't need to get advice from anyone else. I don't need to try and fix this. I will just do what I have to do. But the fixing part of it, the giving into it, I didn't do. And I realized it must have been a pattern because that sense of urgency has disappeared. The fear thoughts associated with it have disappeared. So once again, I'm glad that these tools work. Something that's really urgent and important, you'll do. But often, patterns talk in fear. When we're listening to our heart, we're listening to messages from spirit or God. They don't come in fear. They come in the small voice, the small guidance that's so easily overridden and overlooked. So I'm proud to say that today and yesterday, I just allowed myself not to give in to these patterns. And happy to report that I'm feeling much lighter and calmer and peaceful. And that pattern is now a little bit less powerful than it was yesterday. And back to my year story, I have had to create this online business. I've had to work. I've used up quite a bit of my savings over the last year. So I applied for many jobs around Australia just to see where the universe wanted me. And I ended up in the southernmost state of Tasmania. So I'm doing my best just to surrender, let go, trust the universe. But I still have this pattern that likes to control everything. I'm aware of it, but it's getting less powerful. And I do struggle sometimes with this true surrender. So that is my goal, to truly surrender and to be here and just let my life unfold. So while I've arrived in my new destination, I am just also setting up my online business, and I may even do some work locally here as well. I'm in discussions with renting a room locally. And the aim is to build this energy work up, the somatic counseling work up. So that is what I'm doing 100% of the time. But that takes time. And if it's not what the universe wants, then it won't happen. So I'm just taking one step at a time. The challenge of a new job, that is using my skills, but without having to use my hands. But it's also not quite the somatic counseling that is my true passion. And we'll see where life takes me. These podcasts, I don't want them to so much be didactic and teaching people, you must do this skill, breathe this way, do this. There are many people out there teaching really great techniques. There's hundreds of them. I'm trying to use these podcasts to show you how I apply these tools in my life. Because I meditate every day. I do breath work. I use Ho'oponopono. I do yoga. I walk or exercise. I talk to friends and family. I do a lot of self-care and a lot of tools and techniques that help calm my nervous system, because having a calm nervous system opens us up to listening and hearing the voice of our inner wisdom and any other directions we get from the universe, our higher power. So once again, I will finish off with my short healing meditation. If you'd like to do this with me, I encourage you to lie down or sit down. Try not to do anything else while you're doing this, because a meditation or a healing technique is meant to be done with our full attention and our full presence. We heal when we're in the present moment with our full attention. A technique just done randomly or just done half-heartedly often doesn't do much. So I encourage you to sit or lie down. Close your eyes if that's okay with you. And if you like, you can place your hand over your heart. And then imagine you're breathing in low and slow, in and out through the heart area. Let's try and breathe in, filling up every cell in your body with light, love, and information. And as you breathe out, just imagine everything you no longer need, all the toxins, the emotions, the patterns, the beliefs you no longer need are being sent out of the body with the breath. Breathe in through the heart area, filling up every cell of your body with light, love, information, wisdom. Breathe out, letting everything just be removed that you no longer need. Just become aware of how your body is being supported on the chair or bed that you're on. Notice the sensation as your body is touching the surface of the chair or bed. Feel your feet. Are they touching the floor? If they are, can you imagine roots going from the center of your feet, the soles of your feet, to the center of the earth? So you're really grounded in the physical plane. Now just imagine you've got a cord at the top of your head, crown chakra area, and it's extending up through the universe to the center of the universe, the great central sun. the singularity. So now you're connected to the center of the universe above and the center of the earth below. You are a bridge between the two, between the spiritual and the physical. Now just notice the sensations in your body. Be curious. Are the sensations pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Just notice them. Just be aware that they are merely sensations. Our body talks to us in sensations, but we've often been trained to ignore them. And that can squash them and repress them and push them down. So now we're just taking the time to be curious and open, to listen and to feel. Just scan through your body and just be aware of the sensations there. Are there places that feel good, calm, peaceful? Are there sensations that are unpleasant? Don't judge them, just notice them and let them be there. If any sensation is so unpleasant that you start to become overwhelmed and stressed, just simply open your eyes. Focus on your hands and feet and come back to the present moment. But if you can stay with the sensations in your body, even the unpleasant ones, just do so, knowing that you're safe, you're sitting or lying, just noticing sensations. Now I'm going to invite you to, again, if it's okay, place your hand on your heart and you're going to breathe in low and slow in through the heart. And you're going to imagine there's a light in the center of your chest. As you breathe in, it expands, fills up your whole body, even extends outside your body. And as you breathe out, it radiates out. As you breathe in, your whole body fills up with light, starting in your chest and heart area. And as you breathe out, it's radiating out. You can send it to someone else or someplace, or you can just radiate it out to the world to share with everyone. Breathe in, just fill up with light. Feel it expand. And breathe out, you're sharing this light. Just do a few more low, slow breaths, breathing in through the heart area, imagining this light in your heart filling up your whole body. And as you breathe out, you're sharing that light with wherever you want to send it. Now, as I come to a close of this healing meditation, once again, just draw your attention to your feet on the floor, chair or the bed that you're sitting or lying on. Just notice your hands and what they're touching. You can give your toes and fingers a wiggle. And if your eyes were closed, you can open them. If you tune into your body, do you feel any lighter? Do you feel any different? Have any insights occurred? Myself, I'm feeling definitely lighter, because whenever we do this sort of resourcing, filling up with light, it gives us so much more space and a huge container with which to contain the unpleasant. So it's always important to finish off with this light building, energy building, nervous system calming part of the meditation, because these are resourcing us and giving us space and a larger container within which to hold some of the pain and the unpleasant things that happen in our life. Anyway, I hope that meditation helped. And until next week, have a great week.